Well, thank you very much, and a welcome to you all. It's a pleasure to see so many faces here on this warm day, familiar faces, new faces to us as well. And I should be careful what I say, because we also have Christopher Williams' granddaughter here, great-granddaughter, and in the pushchair here, great-great-granddaughter. So we have the whole lineage here with us today. As I've curated this exhibition, what I've realised is that whilst it might be the ninth in the series that I've done for the National Library of Wales, it's the one that is perhaps the research project that is the least furthest developed. When I did my first exhibition for the library was that of Gladys Vasey. That was in 1991. All subsequent exhibitions have been the culmination of the research that I've been doing. For me, though, this marks this like only the starting point of a much bigger research project. You'll see as I go through the images that I've gathered here for the PowerPoint that there's an awful lot of material to work through. One of the perhaps challenges of a project like this is that the material is spread out in private collections as well as public collections. Many of the public collections are sort of town halls and sort of institutional buildings, so it's very difficult to have access to the paintings. Bringing them all to Aberystwyth, along with related archive material, has really allowed me to dig much further into Christopher Williams' work and career. Many of the smaller oil paintings and sketches that I've had access to were completely unidentified, unmarked. They're stored in piles of unmounted canvases. There's no title, they're undated, and there's little clue as to what they might represent. So it's really a matter of going through the archive material, through photographs, through letters, correspondence, diary material, memoirs that he began writing, and piecing it all together, finding out where he was at any point in time. And that work, as I said, is still ongoing. Even at the point where we were hanging the exhibition a couple of weeks ago, I was having to get Jamie to rush off and do a new label for a particular painting that I'd suddenly discovered a title for, because as we were opening the sketchbooks and putting them on display, we began making these connections. You'll see, for example, in the exhibition, a wall of church interiors. When that was hung, we had 5 labels: church interior 1, church interior 2, church interior 3. We now identified 4 out of those 5 church interiors. I'm keen to encourage audience participation. So if any of you have information about any of the paintings that you see, if you think any of them are mistitled, and there's a good chance that they are, when they came to the gallery, I was often accepting the titles that had been ascribed by his widow Emily and by his son Ivor, and in some cases these have been incorrect. So we've had some fantastic emails saying, the one that you've called Barmouth is not Barmouth at all, it's actually something else. And so anything you can provide would be most welcome. It's been a privilege as well to look through Christopher Williams' correspondence, the letters. He was a very prolific letter writer, and it seems that the family were a family of archivists, because all the material seems to have been kept through down the generations, and it's very rich in letters, and Emily was very good, his wife Emily was very good in his later years, sitting him down with a notebook and pen and saying, write down all your early experiences and memoirs. So together, these letters and memoirs give us a really interesting, important insight into his views on art, on Wales, on family, on theatre, literature, the classics. as he develops from an idealistic young art student right through until his death in 1934. I'll start by showing you some pictures now. As I said, I wanted to keep this informal by responding to the images that we have here in front of us. Here he is, Christopher Williams in 1914. This was quite a novelty way of taking photographs at that time, using a mirrored device. Quite often you could go and have your photograph taken in a fun fair. And this is printed as a postcard with Spanish on the back, so we assume that it's from his 1914 trip to Ronda and Granada. What I was interested in doing in this research project is looking at how someone who was regarded as one of the greatest Welsh painters of his day, someone who was so well connected in terms of the people that he knew in Wales, but to have Lloyd George, first of all, as Chancellor of the Exchequer and then Prime Minister, as a friend and supporter, how someone like that could build such a good reputation for themselves, and yet when he died, his reputation seems to have gone to the grave with them. And that seems to be the sort of theme of much of the work that I've been involved in, either working with artists who perhaps are in their 70s or 80s, or with artists who are no longer with us, and looking at this idea of how artistic reputation is built and sustained after their death. How could someone who comes from rather a humble background in my stag in the South Wales valleys, his father was a grocer, he goes to seeks art classes and then goes to the Royal College of Art and the Royal Academy schools, and then becomes one of the most important portrait painters of his day, travelling widely throughout Europe and North America. How someone that in such a short period of time can go from my stag to Morocco painting could be so quickly forgotten and for quite so long. Here's Christopher Williams, born 1873 in my stag. His mother died a couple of weeks after he was born, and he was christened on her coffin, as was the tradition of the day. His father was a grocer. He was born in Llanllwch, just outside Carmarthen, and had started by working in his aunt's shop in Carmarthen, a grocery shop there, and seeing the opportunities in the coal mining valleys, moved across and opened his own business there, affectionately known as Williams Tebot. And he quickly became part of the sort of South Wales shopocracy, if you like, and a very respected citizen of my stag, served on the town council. This was Christopher's portrait of him in 1901, and the first painting that he got into the Royal Academy exhibition.